Because my tone is like, I'm like, but I'm hurt because of this. And it automatically goes.
Yes.
I'm the same.
I can't hear my tone.
I can't hear my tone.
That's one of the biggest things. He's like, stop yelling. I'm like, I'm not yelling.
And I'm like, I'm screaming.
I'm not yelling.
You want to hear yelling? No, I'm yelling.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Big Mood. Today we have a very beautiful, gorgeous, spectacular, special guest named Jess Lizama.
Hi, guys.
My favorite.
Yay.
Hi.
She's awesome.
Long time friend.
You know what? I feel really
Beautiful
sorry for
host.
you guys because you can't smell her. She
Yeah.
smells amazing.
Not only
bad
is she
for
a gorgeous to look at, she's gorgeous to smell. Every time I hug her, I go,
Oh, you guys, I love you.
You're like the
Can I live here?
fountain of youth.
Yeah.
Because you never age.
No,
like, a
she ages
second.
backwards.
This is
literal
40.
J-Lo.
She's younger
Yeah.
than when I
This is
met
40.
her.
Yeah.
Like, I'm her mom now.
Well, when you let in with you guys, you're lucky out there because you can't smell her. I'm like, ooh, where's this going? Did I? Oh yeah, natural deodorant. That's what happens.
unlucky
It's
out
very-
there.
Yep. Mhm.
We also have another
cool.
special guest, McKaylee with a
Yeah.
W over
My
there.
name's McKaylee. It's spelled MACEGIGHLW.
W.
So for the audio
We just call her
listeners,
W.
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 Yeah. My
For the
name's
audio
W.
listeners, though, describe what you're looking like right now.
What do I look like?
You look like where you're from.
Very
Texas.
Texan.
I've got
Yeah.
double denim on because, Jesus loves double denim, and I've got a nice little tan
hat on.
Because the higher the hat, the higher
higher the
closer to
hat.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, close to God, yes.
You're very yeehaw. You're just missing the boots.
I am absolute yeehaw to the max today.
I offered boots.
Yee yee.
She said no.
Yeah,
Yee
no,
yee.
I'm good though. But yeah, no, this is Jess and Nikki.
Yeah.
I got these clothes from Nikki's closet, and just because I'm like so white, it like makes me look so
It
country.
actually works so well
Yeah.
for her. I'm like, you have
Beautiful.
to wear that. It
This
looks
is not my
perfect for
general
you.
style, but I'm accepting it for this
will be
video
now.
and this video only.
yeah.
Also,
So
we
have
had to give
fun.
her another name because we have two Jesses now. So
Yeah.
True.
Michaela's over there, and this
Yeah,
is
she
Jess.
deserves the Jess name
Kaylee, I
more than I
forgot.
do.
Kaylee.
Thanks,
Michaela.
Jess.
Michaela.
I can change my name too to whatever you want it to be.
Oh,
You know, we actually have we started this thing within our group where we are now calling you Lizama
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I'm into it.
because then we'll get you guys confused. And then
Confused.
also our
There's
friend
another
Nikki
Nikki.
Blades.
Yeah.
We're calling her Blades now within our group because then we're gonna get confused. Like there's two Nikkis and
Yeah,
two
is Nikki
Jesses.
coming to set? I'm like,
Blades.
yes, I'm coming to set. Like,
I'm right here, guys.
it's in my home.
yeah.
But yeah, so Nikki's here too, and so is me.
And Tiff.
Tiff.
So is me.
And so
Pregnant
is
Tiff.
me.
So is
the,
me.
So is the baby.
We're
So is
we're
I.
missing Gina, but she's here. She's just not here.
Yeah. 'Cause
Also
we-
give great hugs and smells amazing.
yes, very true.
Yes.
Gina is amazing. Okay, well, today though, we're going to be talking about the things that people are sharing that are common things that kill relationships. So
Just
they
being
shared-
yourself.
Yeah, so the
If we're wait, can I answer as Jess, other Jess?
You can answer
No,
as
also
me.
as
Sure.
McKaylee.
Michaeli.
Things that kill common mistakes in relationships. Being a man.
Being a man.
That's a
Kills
super
a
common mistake.
relationship.
That's a super common
Number
mistake.
yeah.
Don't make that mistake, you guys.
Yeah.
Number 2, wasted my time.
Yeah. Number
Super big common
3,
mistake.
insulting my intelligence.
I love
Exactly.
Oh, these are great inside jokes for the show. I love it. But yeah, so the question was posed on Reddit and it said, what are common mistakes people make in a relationship? And the first one we have here, it says, trying too hard to avoid potential arguments to avoid conflict rather than hashing it out before the issue becomes too big to handle. And holy
Exactly.
shit, is this true?
Being too accommodating.
Yes.
Because resentment builds if
yeah.
you do that. If you don't address things right away, you end up building resentment. Even if you think like, no, I just let things roll off my shoulder. No, you don't.
No.
Bitch.
I'm so
There-
cool.
It's
I'm
building
so cool
inside of
because
you.
everything's cool.
I'm fine. I'm not crazy. You're crazy.
Suppressing emotion doesn't make them go away. And then what happens is you just end up eroding
Yeah.
the passion that you have for that relationship.
Exactly.
Also, too, when all you do is accommodate the other person and you agree with them all of the time, eventually the real you has to come out and they're just like, who have I been dating for the last 4 years? Like, excuse me?
Yes.
Oh, you had your assistant in.
yeah.
that is the most relatable thing ever.
You just explode
Why-
out of
why is
nowhere.
that the
Big
most-
mistake.
What did you
I don't know.
do?
Can I
Tiff?
put you on the spot, honey? Sure. Can I please? Sorry. Okay, I'm sorry, but this was literally Casey to the T, like to the fucking T.
He
And
would
we-
accommodate everything.
like still like we're working on it because he still does that a lot. But like
It seems like it comes from a good place.
no,
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
it's good
The
intentions.
logic sounds
Yeah.
good, but
yes, but it had been like so we've been together almost 10 years, like 9.5. And for the first 7.5 years of our entire relationship, I didn't know who he really was, because he would always just show me like, oh, he would be a yes man, like people pleaser, like whatever you want to do, sure, whatever.
Happy wife, happy life, whatever,
and
just
then,
do it.
But it was so frustrating because then he would be brewing and like he'll be upset about something that he told me to my face that it was fine, but then he would like keep it in and like hold resentment, and like it'll bleed in other ways, and like he'll like it'd be like a volcano, and then he'll erupt over some other
Word
random
vomit.
thing. And then no, not word vomit, like anger vomit.
Oh, anger
Like,
vomit.
he would
Anger
have
vomit.
anger bursts, and that was like a huge thing that just like was killing the relationship. And I'm like, we can't get anywhere if you're not honest with yourself, if you're not honest with me, if you don't communicate. And then luckily therapy saved this relationship, because holy crap, it was going down the drain.
Yeah, and
'Cause
some
it
people
was
do
just
it
crazy.
'cause they
And that
don't-
was just one of many problems, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's malicious.
Like,
Like,
other
it's
problems.
like, one, fighting causes conflict, then it like hurt feelings, and like let's avoid it. And then two, another reason people don't like address things is because they like don't know how to communicate.
Yeah, it's also the way like people get raised too. 'Cause then
Yeah.
if you don't see that as an example around you at all, like for anything, then you don't even realize like, oh, that's something that's needed. Because then you just think it's normal.
Or like sometimes
Yeah.
things will bother Steve, and he's like, well, I didn't want to sound like a little bitch, you know? And I'm like, no, just like address it there and we can solve it. And then you don't have to like,
And then I can say you're not a little bitch.
yeah, and you're not a little bitch. Like if it bothers you, you shouldn't have to just stick with it just cause. Like if there's an easy solution.
Isn't
Actually,
it kind of more of a little
I
bitch
was gonna say
thing
that.
to like be afraid to say what's on your mind,
I
even
mean,
if it's minuscule?
Yeah, I mean, I think I can understand how in his head he's like, well, it's so minor, I don't want to cause a fuss about it, you know, that kind of thing. But it ends up, like you said, bleeding out in other areas where it's like, then later he's just annoyed for no reason. He doesn't even know why.
Yeah.
It's just because like earlier he suppressed that. It's going to come out somewhere. Feelings don't just
Somehow.
go away. They come out somewhere.
Yeah,
Well, and in my
exactly.
first relationship, I was ultra accommodating, and not that this is Casey at all, but I also just didn't know myself. So everything that he wanted to do, I was just like, yeah, totally into it. I just didn't have an opinion. So then when I started to develop my own opinion, it's like, okay, well, where did this girl come from?
Yeah.
And where has she been?
Yeah.
When you did, were you scared that would scare him away?
I was afraid of, a little bit of like, oh, me having an opinion that's outside of yours could be bad. And like, this is going to cause conflict and we're going to argue over it. And I don't want to fight.
So,
because-
did he create that environment though? Because I mean, why did you feel that way?
Oh, for sure. Like this was a
Okay.
very emotionally, physically abusive, mentally abusive relationship. So I think in all ways, and it doesn't start that way, right? Like it starts very subtle, and it's not like me looking back as like this 40-year-old woman where I can say now, like I'm super strong. I would never let that happen to me. I could absolutely see how young women, young people in general can. Not even. You could be a really strong woman and that can still happen to you.
Yeah.
Because it's such a subtle thing. You don't just
And it
get
moves
slapped
slow,
in the face. And
right?
it moves so
Yeah.
slowly.
Especially if
Yeah.
you've never had that experience before. So you just assume everyone is like
It's
who
normal.
you've already met. And so like, and then you trust this person and you love them and like, obviously they're going to have your back. So if they're saying you're doing something wrong, then it starts, you know, slowly escalating to where you question your own judgment.
And it builds so much shame.
Yeah.
So now you just feel ashamed. And so with shame kind of creates that silence, you know?
Yeah.
So I just kind of became ultra submissive and ultra silent. And I don't even know how that happened.
Dang.
I
But
can't,
yeah,
I can't
absolutely.
picture you
No, me
bottled up. You have
either.
so much personality. Like I can't picture it like
There's a lot
silent.
of
Like,
rage. So much rage.
Do you think like maybe parenting styles creates that in a person? Like maybe for Casey, like he was never really allowed to tell his parents what he really felt, so he had to be super accommodating, perhaps to
Yeah.
his parents, and so that's just how he's always dealt with conflict, was to never really bring anything up. Like, do you think maybe that family
No, definitely.
life
We
creates that in a
actually,
person?
like through therapy, we
Okay.
we explore that topic because like his dad has a really strong personality and like really strongly opinionated, and his mom is the Casey, like really accommodating for the most part. Will just be like, okay, he said that, like, okay, we'll do that or whatever it is. And you know how they say like you tend to find partners that are similar to your parents?
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm his dad in our relationship in a lot of aspects where I do have like a strong opinion about something, or I'll voice my thoughts. And so like you're explaining your experience, Jess, and yeah, I could see how like I have contributed to that behavior too, but it's also kind of like that's what he finds comfort because that's what he grew up in.
Yeah,
and
it's
like
familiar.
we find our own parents within our partners kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And you have to recognize when it's like unhealthy.
Yeah, so
and
then
you should.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
I'm just like excited about this topic. Yeah, like exactly. Like I will find moments like just recently, and this was like so minor, like so stupid, but just recently, I was gonna pick up some food to go home, and I was like, okay, what do you want? There's In-N-Out, Chick-fil-A, whatever. And then he's like, okay, In-N-Out. I'm like, okay, cool, I'll get In-N-Out. And then he's giving me his order, and I'm like, oh, you know, they have grilled onions too? Because I'm like, I know you like grilled onions, but you never really order it. And he goes, oh yeah, I would prefer fresh onions over grilled. And then I just made my little like comment like to myself, not trying to influence him, but I still like said it, which was like, oh, okay, it's just like it kind of like smells more like make your breath smell more like if it's
and then I'm not gonna want to kiss you.
No, I didn't say that, but like I did just mention that, and obviously like he was like, oh, okay, then just get grilled onions, and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna get grilled onions.
Yeah, you guys do that constantly. You did that shit yesterday too.
I was like, shit, what did I say?
What happened yesterday? What was it yesterday? Where Tiff was saying like, oh, well, I thought it was this thing, and Casey's like, well, okay, well, fine if you want that, and then Tiff was like, no, you don't have to.
It was about the episode because he was editing this upcoming episode.
Oh, right. It was about saying lines.
Yeah. Yeah. All I was trying to find out is like, well, usually it's ready by Friday, but now it's Saturday. So I'm like, oh, I was just wondering, like, what's your plan? But then the way it came out, he was like, yeah, I know I got to work on it.
He's like, I know you're telling me to get my work done. I know I need to do it. She's like, no, I'm just asking when you're gonna do it. He like, I know I need to do it.
Yeah. I'm like, oh fuck. Like,
so like it's a communication.
I was just gonna say it's a communication. Yeah. Do you think it was maybe your tone?
Probably, that's his biggest thing with me is my tone.
My tone
it's
too.
Like people speaking different languages too, like because for the longest time, okay, so for example, this is just one off the top of my head, but I would call Steve sensitive, and I didn't mean it in a bad way. I was just like, oh, you're sensitive, because he would pick up other people's feelings, or like if I made a comment or like someone did something, he would like have a stronger emotional reaction than I was used to in other partners, and I didn't mean it as a bad thing. I'm sensitive too.
It's a lack of a better word.
Yeah, but he perceives sensitive as being like weak and like overly emotional and stuff. Yeah. And I'm like, no, I just mean like you're
an empath,
empathetic. Yeah. And so he didn't. It took him a while to learn that when I say sensitive, it means that. And so I kind of had to adjust my vocabulary. And sometimes it's just as simple as that, as like learning what words trigger your partner differently. Yeah. And so like what you're trying to communicate is like, oh, I just need an ETA. Yeah. And he was like, oh, she's on me about getting my work done. Yeah. And he just kept hearing the same thing, even though you thought you were very clear in what you were saying. No, then also,
I mean, in my own head, I was changing the way I was communicating that phrase, but then I would still get the same response from him. He's like, yeah, I know, I'll work on it. I'm like, I'm not telling you to work on it.
It seemed like you probably had that argument before where you were like, shouldn't you be getting this done? And he's like, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I'll work on it. But then now this time you don't want to be telling him what to do. So you're like, oh, isn't that do it? And then you're like, wait, I'm not gonna do this again. Yeah. Like I'm taking
but then he's
back.
So used to the other
but
thing.
He's just like, I know what you really want to say because we've had this argument before. Now you're acting like you're not telling me what to do when you really want to tell me what to do.
Yeah, and then that gets me upset because I'm like, don't put words in my mouth. I wasn't saying that.
I'm working on it. I'm trying to change.
Yeah, you're like, I really don't want to tell you what to do. I just found myself in this place again.
I know. Oh, it's so. That's why I say like we're working on it.
Yeah.
And then like pointing out the fact that like I have played a role in having that behavior come out.
If that's his initial reaction to you, then it's probably like that environment was created. Not that it's a bad environment, but just that he's expecting that to be what you're doing. I guess.
No, for sure. And then it gets really frustrating too, because then I think about like the beginning of the relationship. Like I don't think I was doing those things to have that behavior come out of him. And then later he would just tell me like, oh, I just thought like this is what you wanted from me. And I'm like, I got catfished into this relationship. Like what? Like, no, like you could have just shown me who you really were instead of being afraid that I was going to reject you, even though I don't know what I did to make you feel like I was going to reject you. But yeah, like that's the stuff that we work through.
Like preemptively accommodating what you assume is going to be expected.
And it could be a learned behavior too, right? Like, because we know ourselves and we're like, okay, well, the way that I was in this past relationship and showing them my real self, like, was a huge turn off to them. I don't want this to be a turn off to you.
Right.
So I'm going to not that I'm going to disguise it or not be myself. I'm just not going to do like Mach 12, give you that level of behavior kind of thing.
Yeah. Like, I don't want to make the same mistake I made in my last relationship, even though this is a whole different person,
but
a
feels
whole new
false.
relationship.
Right. To you, it would feel false because you're like, well, that's not who you are.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So back to this, like, saying, like, not bringing things up right away. Jess, what do you do with your partner now? Because you've been with your girlfriend for over a year now.
Year and a half.
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years.
Yeah. Amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
When last time she was on the show, you guys had just started
We
dating.
just started dating
a few months.
and I just got out of divorce. It was it was
Very
super
frosh.
dramatic.
How do you approach the subject of, like, if something's bothering you?
I have to tell you, I'm not a good communicator. I'm really not a good communicator. Lacey is the world's best communicator, and it's because she's very self-aware and I got the best. We say this all the time. Like, she is the best version of me and I have the best version of her, but I'm accommodating. Not in the ways that I used to be when I was younger, but I'm definitely like, I don't care what we eat for dinner.
Yeah.
And if she cares, then I just want her to tell me what she wants to have, because I really don't care. Like, I'll eat anything. I just don't want salad. So, and we do fitness, so it's usually a salad, which is totally fine. But again, like, I don't really care. And then this is me being like #accommodating.
The salad resentment is building up.
But I like really love salad. But she'll force me to communicate.
Yeah.
Because there's so many breakdowns in communication in a relationship and we're coming out of COVID. So we're just now jumping into the world where we're having to see people and go out and do things. So there is we were in our own little bubble. So like, that breakdown of communication isn't necessarily her not being communicative or me not communicating how I'm feeling. It's like, we haven't been placed in this situation before. And with Lacey, totally, my insecurities, and this is the thing too, you bring so much shit and baggage to every relationship that a lot of times I have to realize that it's nothing she's doing. I'm being triggered, like something. And I come from like a survivor point of view. So for me, I trust her so much with my life that if there's one little thing that I feel like is a breakdown in communication, I absolutely will feel like I can't trust her. And then I shut down. And then she'll force me to talk about it. Forcing someone to talk about it is so good.
And catching that early in the relationship is great, because you need that foundation to set the precedent of like, hey, when there's something wrong, we talk about it immediately.
Totally. And this is what I expect from you, and this is what you expect from me. And let's just be honest about it.
So knowing that you're not good at doing that, do you ever try to think like, oh, this is bothering me, like, I need to say this before she has to pull it out of me? Have you tried that?
I do. And I try to say it in a way that doesn't feel upsetting, because for me, it's tone. Like, I don't get hurt. I get really angry. Do you think she would care
what your tone is? Yeah. I feel like
she really doesn't
probably
care.
Wouldn't care what your tone is.
When I've yelled before, she just backs away slowly and starts shutting the windows because neighbors, and she just holds the space. Because my tone is like, I'm like, but I'm hurt because of this. And it automatically goes.
Yes.
I'm the same.
I can't hear my tone.
I can't hear my tone.
That's one of the biggest things. He's like, stop yelling. I'm like, I'm not yelling. And I'm like, I'm not yelling. It's just coming. I have this emotion. It's just making my volume
and it's
go
very
up,
passionate.
but I'm not yelling. You want to hear yelling?
No, I'm yelling. You're making me yell. It's because of you that I'm doing this.
So because you go straight to that, you don't even want to say anything at all? Is that what's happening? So you make her pull it out of you?
Sometimes they're fighting over dinner, and like, she doesn't want a salad, so she's gonna order something else. It's gonna come to her door,
and she would order from DoorDash. Thank you, DoorDash, for sponsoring this episode. DoorDash connects you with the restaurants you love right now and right to your door. And now you can get the grocery essentials you need with DoorDash too. You can get drinks, snacks, and other household items delivered in under an hour, so you don't have to fight about what to eat or what to get. Or, if you need toilet paper, just hit up DoorDash really quick, and then you can get back to your argument. Boom, boom.
DoorDash makes it really easy for you to get back to your argument.
Yeah.
DoorDash is like, you want a salad and you want to say how much got you.
Two different places. Two different places.
Yeah. Ordering is super easy. You open the DoorDash app, you choose what you want from where you want. Your items will be left safely outside your door with the contactless delivery drop-off setting. They have over 300,000 partners in the US, Puerto Rico, Canada, and Australia, so you can support your neighborhood go-tos or hit up your favorite national restaurants like Popeyes, Chipotle, and Cheesecake Factory.
Cheesecake Factory.
I love Chipotle.
Yeah, it's so delicious. So for a limited time, our listeners can get 25% off and 0 delivery fees on their first order of $15 or more when you download the DoorDash app and enter code MOOD. That's 25% off up to $10 value and 0 delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter code MOOD. Don't forget, that's code MOOD for 25% off your first order with DoorDash. Subject to change. Terms apply.
Yes, and then our second sponsor for this episode is a great one, actually. It's Talkspace. As the year ends, another holiday season is upon us. For many of us, that means travel and family. And you know, family could be a real problem.
Can cause you to see a therapist.
Problematic.
Not only is the traveling part like stressful, especially right now with the time that we're in, but then also traveling with family. Maybe you haven't seen family in a long time. Maybe that argument that you had 2 years ago that you've been putting off because of the pandemic is going to come to light this time because you're finally seeing them at Christmas. Maybe you should go into that talk already having discussed it with a therapist. 'Tis the season to be jolly, but sometimes it doesn't feel that way, and that's okay. Ease some of the burdens as the holidays can bring with Talkspace Online Therapy. It's the #1 online therapy platform. There's thousands of licensed therapists available for you to match with across dozens of specialties, including anxiety, depression, relationships, and more. Talkspace is ready to help you start feeling better with a single message. Talkspace works around your schedule at your convenience with live video sessions and unlimited messages with your dedicated therapist. You can set goals with your therapist and develop techniques to cope in difficult times like these holidays. Talkspace offers individual therapy, couples therapy, and medication prescription services. So if you need a little support to help you through the end of the year or want to start building towards a better upcoming year, Talkspace is here to help. Match with a licensed therapist when you go to Talkspace.com and get $100 off your first month with the promo code MOOD. That's $100 off when you use code MOOD at Talkspace.com.
I think everybody needs therapy.
Everybody does.
You
Honestly.
don't even know the things that make you think and feel the way you do until you
Absolutely.
go have someone dissect you.
To be therapized.
Yeah.
And I have to, just to answer your question really quickly, Jess, I honestly think for me, it's, I never was forced to manage my emotions or even identify them for that matter. So I was in like mom mode, like just make the money, pay the bills, take care of the baby, survive.
I relate so hard to everything that's coming out of your mouth right now.
That I kind of suppressed my emotions and they went into my big toe, which was very swollen. It's like, you know what I mean? That big toe is holding in 40 years of life and love and
can see that big
emotions. No one
toe.
can see that big toe. It's in a boot.
It's in a very cute boot, by the
It's in a
way.
very cute
Very cute snakeskin boot.
You would never know.
You would never know. But now that I, you know you're in a mature relationship and you're maturing yourself when you can manage your emotions, you can identify them. And sometimes I don't even know what's bothering me. She'll just be like, something changed on your face or you're being silent. What is that? And then I can really like sit with it and think about it and be like, oh yeah, it's that thing. And then we can talk about it.
Yeah, because like I said, I relate so hard to what you're saying, but I tend to like the little thing that I think I'm mad at, I will grab onto that and then I don't recognize my tone either. And I can't for the fucking, there could be a gun in my head and I can't change my fucking tone.
Same.
And then he's Cantonese. He like, it's a language of tones. Like, so they literally like tone is huge for him. So I will just change my tone like a tiny bit because I'm bothered about something that I think it's the thing that I'm bothered by. And then for some reason, like I just end up getting angry because then he'll point it out and I'm like, it's the fucking thing. I already said it's the thing. And
But
then
is it always something different? Like it's something bigger or something that's been under the surface?
that's why I'm going to therapy right now, girl.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's figure this out, therapist. I'm always like, girlfriend, you need to help me. I don't know what the fuck this is, but it can't keep going like this. He's made so many amazing changes and like he's grown so much in our relationship. I'm like, I feel behind. Help me. Yeah. So I'm like, what do I do? So she has me journaling a lot of things and
That's
like
good.
auditing or not auditing. What is it? Inventorying.
Yeah.
Like
Your feelings.
like situations where that's been helpful. So
We're also set in our ways as people, right? Like,
Yeah, the older you get, like it's
Yeah.
always, if you never had to rewire yourself or you were never made to, then you don't even know that you've been programmed to do that you've been doing that your
It
whole
can
life.
be
Until
hard to
someone notices
unravel it,
Yeah.
especially after 30 or 40 years.
It's a lot to
but-
unpack.
Oh yeah.
And to be like, let's look at it. Sometimes you don't want to pack. You're like, can we just put that suitcase in the closet?
Yeah, we don't have to look at it.
I don't want to talk about it.
We can
Yeah.
bury
It's
it.
heavy.
Yeah.
It's too heavy.
Let's pretend it doesn't exist.
Yeah. Let's throw the suitcase away.
All right, so next item on this list here that they wrote is a common relationship killer is when you label your partner the source of all your happiness and joy.
Oh yeah.
That's
That's too
dangerous.
much
No
pressure.
one for one person.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. No one is responsible for your happiness but you.
Because then they
you.
can break your day, and that's not fair
Yeah.
for them. I actually had an ex that did that where they just didn't have their own thing going on, so their whole life was about like supporting me or like, you know, whatever I needed, he wanted to be there. And I'm like, first of all, I feel a little smothered. Second of all, if I didn't want him around, because I like a lot of alone time, he would take it really personally. And I'm like, it's not personal at all. Like Steve knows, he understands me perfectly, where I'm like, I just need like to be alone all day because I need to recharge and I need to like, I have like 1,000 thoughts in my head. And it's
Yeah.
really hard for me to respond to people because they're all getting jumbled in like what he's saying.
It's not like you're out doing something like so fun without
No.
him. You're just like at home. You're like, just let me be in my office for a few hours.
Decompress.
Yeah. And this person took it really, really personally. And we had so many talks about it, but it was really just because like they didn't know how to create their own happiness. And so they put it all on one, making me happy or trying to be my sole source of happiness when I'm like, no, I'm happy from other things too. Like
Yeah.
it's not just you. And then also like I had to be their sole source of happiness, and
That's too much
can't
responsibility
meet
for one
that.
person.
Yeah. I just can't. I can't be that there all the time.
That happens too when you go into a relationship and you're not a whole person.
Yeah.
When you're looking
Yes.
for someone to complete you or to fix something. Like we do have to realize, like I am definitely guilty of this, especially in my younger relationships where I'm like, oh, like I don't have to be a whole. I mean, no, I don't think there's anyone who's perfect, but I'm like, I don't even have to be a whole person. I can just be with this person and they could be a half a person and I can be half a person. Together, that's a whole person.
Yeah.
I'm really good at math.
Yeah.
So like, I think just recognizing that even is like, sometimes it's really good to just be alone and to figure your shit out, you know?
Yeah, because
so
when
true.
you're a whole person and you're with a whole person, it creates something better than any of you could create alone.
And two whole people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sorry, I didn't scratch you.
I think all of my relationships I got into because I was needing someone to make me happy. So that's probably why this last like a year that I've been alone has been the first time where I've actually felt happy alone and not like desperate and scared and just depressed and like wanting to die.
Yeah.
Gina, what the fuck are you doing?
Jess is being vulnerable.
She's like, hi, I'm very toasty. Turn me over.
Stop being comedic relief.
You were on the surface of the sun. We totally get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots
They're
of pools of
melting.
sweat.
It's fucking hot out there.
Do you feel like a part of it was codependency? Like, do you feel like you're a codependent type of person?
Yes.
Because I'm definitely, I was guilty of
I mean,
doing
I had
that.
terrible parent. My mom was just terrible parent. Just kind of abandoned me, sort of. My dad came in later and kind of tried to fill the void and take care of me a little bit, but because they were divorced and she did such a terrible job the first like 8 years that, you know, like he came in, but he's also just a man. A lot of men, especially older generations, aren't very emotionally available, emotionally intelligent. So he did the best he could by just being there, but like just the emotional needs were never ever met. Like absolutely not. And so I think every single relationship I had, like I 100% latched on to that person and expected them to make me happy. And if it didn't happen, then I was just distraught. Like, I mean, I was always going between a state of limerence, which I don't know if you know what that means.
No.
It's like
New vocab word.
new vocab word.
Limerence.
Vocab alert. Limerence is just like this obsessive kind of like you're in this fantasy where it's mainly a very obsessive state of like being in love with this person and like not really
Romanticizing everything about
infatuation.
them.
Yeah. So it would be that, and then until I would get with the person, and then I would kind of like try to keep that alive, and then like reality would kind of hit, and then I would just be so depressed because like the person is not what I thought they were, or you know, just they were just very toxic too, and I was just very codependent on people that had the same pattern as my mom. Like they were unavailable for some reason. Either they were an alcoholic or drug addict like my mom was, or they were a workaholic, or they were just unavailable for some reason. So I kept doing the same thing. Like my happiness was based on making that person love me so that it completes the cycle of like, I never got it from my mom, right?
Yeah, that's how you processed love as a child. So you were familiar with that.
Yeah, I relate to that too.
Definitely all of my relationships, I was not a whole person before I went into them, and they were all not great. I mean, like my last one was 5 years and it wasn't like terrible. Nothing catastrophic happened. It wasn't abusive or anything like that, but it was just it wasn't good either. I mean, it wasn't good for either of us. It wasn't great. But then I did have some that were just very, very like mentally abusive. And I've never been physically abused because I'm like a hard bitch, but like I've had some mentally abusive ones that, just so bad. And it hurt me so much. So yeah. And I just, now that I've been able to get out of that and spend a whole year alone and like enjoy myself and love myself and be comfortable and almost like not want anyone to come in because that's scary because I don't trust myself yet. But I just really would love to tell anyone that, because I know so many people are doing the same pattern.
Yeah,
of like,
it's a pattern.
Because if you don't break it,
you have to
consciously
stop.
take a break and assess yourself, like
you
reassess
really, like,
your
I
situation.
would hear that all the time. Like you have to be happy first, and I would think like, okay, yeah, cool. Like, you know, I like my job, like whatever. Like I'm happy. Like just give me
I'm
the
happy,
relationship now.
let's go.
But I never really was. Like I never really. Until you're okay with being like, okay, I could die alone. Like I could just literally, I'll live with cats. Like 40 years can go by. It's okay. Like until you can really truly believe that, I don't think you're actually a whole person.
Yeah.
Agreed. And kind of to Nikki's point, like when you rely on someone for your soul happiness, you're also giving them the power to completely destroy you.
I mean, so much of my like I was trying to study for this or I was trying to do that, like it would just be so fucked. Like I couldn't get anything done. Like my plans were ruined. Like I just I lost so much time and effort that I could have been spending on my career, on different things like that. So
I say that to my girlfriends all the time when they're going through something. I'm like, you just have to grab your power and like regain it. And it doesn't mean anything other than like being happy alone. Like we have to be able to be happy alone and be able to sit alone. But I understand like that is fucking hard.
Yeah, easier said than done.
So much easier said than done.
But once you're
doing
it,
the work,
it's a different kind of power.
Yeah.
Like you'll never know
Absolutely.
the power until you've done it.
and that's your power and you're doing the work.
And
So
you'll
that's
know
good.
it's easier to spot when the right person comes along because everyone else just feels like they're sucking from you, like they're like draining what you've just built, and then the right person feels like they're adding to it.
They'll spark you up.
Yeah.
They'll light you up.
Yeah, that's all great stuff. I'm like sitting here listening because I'm like, I have been in a relationship since I was 16.
I've been in a lot of relationships and I've been married twice. So I feel like Dr. Phil.
I'm like, I've only been single for 2 months
who
in
you
my whole
picked.
life. So I'm like, I've never experienced that solo thing. But then that's why I felt like it got to a pretty good place when I did that solo trip for my birthday. And I was like, I've never experienced being alone. I want to know what it's like. And I absolutely loved it. Like having less than a week by myself. Obviously the destination was
that made it a
Yeah.
lot better. That's not real life.
yeah, of course not. But I mean, that's the only tiny little taste of that I've ever gotten in my whole life.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that felt like heaven. I'm like, whoa, this is cool. Like in the past, I could never sit in a room like by myself, silence. I love driving in silence now. And like, I like calmness. And in the past, silence would hurt my ears. Like it was like, oh my God, this
Deafening.
is like, it was deafening. It was just like, I can't fucking sit with myself. And now I'm like, oh, I'm cool.
Can I just tell you, earlier you were saying everything that you were saying, that I was saying was landing on you. Now everything she's saying is landing on me. I went to London to shoot a show for a month and I was completely alone.
Yeah.
Lacey didn't come with me because she would have been quarantined, and Corinne, my daughter, had work and a life of her own. But Tiff, I've never been alone and I've always had to take care of someone. So I love taking care of someone. I'm either taking care of my daughter or I'm taking care of our dog or I'm taking care of my girlfriend. I've never had to just take care of myself. So when I was alone, I was like, wow, what do I don't even know what to do. Like I'm a reader now. She's a reader, folks. I read. I was taking care of my skin. I was like,
Wait, you didn't before, you bitch?
no, but like
Don't
really
pretend.
taking care of it. There was like a lot
Like,
of
I did it 5 times instead of 3.
Yeah, it was 3 hours a night instead of 2. And I was like figuring out, like just sitting with that unsettling feeling of being alone and like having no one else to take care of. And I think a lot of that too is women, like we do that because especially when you're a mom, we have that mom guilt where it's like, there's no way I can't be taking time out for myself
Yeah,
right now.
fuck yeah.
Isaac needs something.
Yep.
Like baby needs something. Like
Yeah.
someone needs something when it's just like, it's okay. We have to take care of ourselves first.
Like,
we're
I have needs
everything.
too.
I have
Yeah.
needs too.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also a person.
Did you feel anything negative come up in that week, or did you feel anxiety come up? Like
It was a month.
Finally, or
It was a month.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It was pretty crazy. I was really anxious at first because I'm like, how am I going to fill up my time? And then I honestly thought of Nikki because in quarantine, she picked up like every habit imaginable.
Like 75 habits.
She became like a painter and a drawer and
candle
she like
maker.
jewelry maker,
Poker player.
Poker
She was
player,
a
yeah.
poker player. She did
Real
all
estate
these
investor.
things.
Yeah, like all
Stocks investor.
Crypto professional. And I was like, there's got to be something. Like, what is my one thing? And for me, it was reading and like just being quiet.
Yeah.
It was so weird just being quiet.
Yeah.
Like-
I actually took a book to my trip too, but I couldn't focus.
But it's because the silence can be deafening.
Yeah.
No, the view was just really distracting.
Yeah. Like I wasn't going to read my book.
Yeah,
about the
you were
ocean.
in like a really beautiful location.
I was in Bora Bora. That's why
It's stunning.
I was like, shit, I can't fucking focus. Like, this
Yeah.
is gorgeous.
I was like,
Yeah.
this is the most amount of Instagram stories I've ever seen from Jess. She was in London.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
you're like head to toe gorgeous because you probably like doing your
Had
hair like
time.
extra.
Yeah,
like,
I had to-
You know, like, you have
yes.
extra time to
I had to
like
be camera
spend,
ready.
yeah.
So I was like, oh, I'm going to take advantage
Your
of this.
skin
and,
was
like,
glowing, popping,
thank you,
glowing.
thank you,
It's
thank
never
you.
not,
Thank
but
you.
like it was extra.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's also no sun in London with the time that I was there. And
Ooh,
I
I
don't know
need
if
to
you guys
move
are
there.
like this. Does
right.
I
the
need
weather
the sun hates
The
me.
weather affects me greatly.
does the
Same
weather
girl.
affect you
Yeah,
greatly?
I
It
can't
does,
handle
yeah.
overcast at all.
I actually don't like it when it's overcast.
Yeah,
I
it's
just
depressing.
like joke because I get sunburned so easily, but I do love the sun. But yeah.
My
You're like,
therapist
I
is
love the
trying
sun,
to
but
like
you're fair.
Yeah.
You're very fair. Yeah.
my therapist is actually trying to figure out like what's wrong because I've only met like 2 people that are like this where I know if it's overcast even before I look outside because I
feel
feel
it.
this impending sense of doom, like we're all gonna die and life is pointless and nothing makes sense and so like people always said like, oh, so something happened to you when it was overcast in your childhood. I'm like, I can't think of any specific event that happened to me. But like my therapist is like, no, it was just that general, like I grew up in Santa Barbara and it's on by the beach. And so that marine layer was
Yeah.
always there like until the afternoon.
And they would burn off.
Yeah. And I was very lonely as a child, like alone, like 100% alone all the time in that way of like not alone, but lonely. Like there's a difference because I like
yeah.
being alone, but I don't like being lonely.
Yeah. Right.
And like it was like I want to interact with people and there's no one to interact with. And like sometimes I would go home and feel like I could just disappear and nobody would notice. And so like she's like that whole era of time comes back when it's overcast. Not
You
just like
associate it.
one event. Yeah. And it's like this like pointless, like what's the point of me being here? Cause like nobody even knows like that I'm
yeah.
here.
I feel that
And-
way about nighttime. Like I get really
Really?
depressed.
Oh
when it's
yeah.
nighttime.
Yeah. I could see that. Yeah.
Nighttime does feel very lonely. For me, I'm like, if it just rain. Like if you're gonna rain. If you're gonna be
Yes.
gloomy, rain.
Exactly. I'm fine with rain.
Just rain.
I'm fine with rain.
And I'm fine with
rain.
winter gloom because then
Yeah.
it's winter and it's like holidays.
It's like holidays.
But
Yeah.
when
You
it's
have to light a
just
candle.
cloudy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's
like
cozy.
When it's
Yeah.
that white sky where it's like reflective, it's like a bounce board. And it's like a fluorescent
Like, hurts
lighting
your
in a
eyes.
drugstore.
Yes.
I'm like, I just can't deal with you.
That's so funny.
You gotta go back under a bed, underneath my bed. I need to
going
go
back
underneath
to
my
bed.
Yeah.
Just rain.
Yeah. Rain, you little bitch. Weather.
Just make a decision.
All right, next one on this list. It's a common relationship mistake when you get so comfortable in a relationship that you take it or the other person for granted.
Oh,
Oof.
yeah. I feel like that one happens a lot.
Granted.
I feel like that's why
granted.
people say 7-year itch, right?
Yeah.
That's now moving
Yeah.
to like 10 years. Like
You've all been in long relationships.
Yeah.
I feel like I already know the answer. You don't have an itch.
I've never had a 7-year itch.
Yeah.
I mean, I was worried about it. I was like, because everyone was telling me, like, just wait 7
It's
years.
coming.
It's
Yeah.
coming. And I'm like, I literally want to jump his bones all the time. Like, I have no whatsoever itch, but we were always very conscious about it. I think that like from the beginning, we were like, we never want to get sick of each other.
Yeah.
We never want this feeling to end. So anytime, like if you're ever upset, it was that communication thing, like nipping it in the bud.
Yeah.
Because both of us had baggage when we entered and we were fighting a lot and we loved our time together, but then we couldn't figure out why we kept fighting. And so nipping that all in the bud in the very beginning and just knowing that like, this is my person, like, if they need me, I'm there. Like if something I'm doing is upsetting, let's get to the bottom of it. And I've never felt more understood, and each year we find out more about each other, and I think there's always something left to discover, so it doesn't get old, you know.
And also, you guys have a lot of respect for each other, and I think something
Respect.
that respect is massive,
Yeah.
and admiration. I think when you lose admiration for the person that you're with, you kind of you lose a little bit of respect for them. Because if you think about like what drew you to him and what drew you to Casey, like a big part of that is like, they're really cool. Like I admire them as a person and they're doing something awesome. So when that person loses their own spark, you kind of, that's something that's really hard to grapple with.
That can happen really quickly with the resentment eroding. It, like a resentment, at least in previous relationships, it was like, they're acting fine, but I still am not attracted to them as I was in the beginning, because I think subconsciously, like all the fucked up things that they did early in the relationship just like didn't go away, like because it built up and it was just too strong, and
You guys didn't unpack them.
and it just broke the magic feeling, you know, and I just never got it back. And so with Steve, it's like I never want this to end, and the magic stays. And I'm not saying like I know everything, because obviously I don't know what happens at 10 years. I don't know. Like anything could happen. But I think that this is the healthiest relationship I've ever been in. And if I could just speak from finding this healthy place, it's like definitely all of these things are 100% true. Nipping it in the bud with so that resentment doesn't build. Not making them your primary source of happiness. Like he's the thing that makes me the most happy, but I don't rely on him
as your
for
sole source of happiness.
sole source of happiness.
You guys also did a good thing, and you didn't self-fulfill a prophecy, because sometimes we do that. I don't know if you read a book when you're pregnant, but I read What to Expect When You're Expecting. So at 4 months, when they're like, you're going to be nauseous, if I hadn't maybe read that, I might have been okay. But now I was like, ooh, yeah, maybe I'm a little nauseous. Oh, and your body may react weirdly to this. And then I'm like, ooh, my body is reacting weirdly to this, oddly enough. Like I don't like bananas anymore. Like whatever that thing is. And it's just,
So the 7-year itch is like hearing,
and then you're like, we have a problem.
And then you're like, okay, I'm looking for it. I'm
looking for that thing.
Yeah, he is less attractive when he does this one thing
That's
that I
really
didn't
annoying.
notice.
And it's communication. You've been together for so long. It's like, okay, how much more can we talk about? I know everything about you. You know everything about me. And it's that constant chasing and dating and like having admiration and having respect.
Oh, okay. So just tools for this, because you're maybe like, how do you not lose that? So like we love going to new places together that neither of us have been.
New memories.
Yeah.
So it's like you're constantly discovering a new place, but you're also getting to hear a fresh take on what they think about it, and then you get to share your take. And mostly they're similar, but sometimes they're different.
And now you're learning new things about him.
Exactly. And so there's always something left to discover.
That's so true. That's us too. That's why we love traveling so much.
I know that about you. Wow, you're hot.
And I think that when people that start to take things for granted, it's like you assume you already know everything about the person, and you're not even looking at them anymore.
Not curious no more.
You're just like, I know that, like, sky's blue, trees green, person, my wife is what my wife, she's
my
that
person.
The TV's over there. Like I don't even have to look, like I don't have to interact. I already know. I'm not looking at the tree. I'm in my phone because I don't even fucking care, because I already know everything. There's nothing new out there, and there is always something new. And it's so sad that like I think we do lose it through like technology and like through time of just
connection.
Yeah, of
not letting go of the
assuming that
connection.
things are always, they're never changing, nothing's new, and there's
It
nothing
seems
left
worse
to
now
discover.
too, because we have an app that we can download that will connect you with a whole bunch of new exciting people.
Millions of them.
Yeah, so it's
I
like
was gonna say,
that's scary. It's scary.
I thought you were going to talk about this app that connects you with your partner. Because I downloaded this app that will prompt up questions and you and your partner can answer them. And then you get to know them on a deeper level.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
like things that like you didn't think that, or that you thought, because sometimes they'll have quizzes on it too. Where it's
Is
like,
it the We're Not Really Strangers?
No, it's called Paired.
Oh, okay.
That's the one that we have.
They score you too.
Yeah, they score you.
Oh,
I like that.
Well, not, I mean,
It's like
kinda.
newlyweds, but with each other.
Yes,
Newlywed.
exactly. 'Cause
Like
then there'll
7
be
years later.
There'll be quizzes where it's like, oh, I totally, because then they'll tell you like, well, how would Casey answer this question? And then he'll answer it. So then there'll be an answer, but then I'll answer it. I'm like, oh, he'll totally say this. And then he ends up saying something else. I'm like, what the? And then we'll talk about it. And then like, I'll get to know his like thought process.
He
Or whatever. And
surprises
there's
you.
a connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
the element of surprise, I think, is something that you should always have.
And it's sexy.
Yeah.
And like,
Surprise me.
yeah, yeah. Like one time I like called Steve from upstairs to help me clean something in the bedroom, and he showed up up and I was in a French maid outfit. And like he was not expecting that.
He was surprised.
And it's like, I've never done that since. Like, just, you never know.
You never know what you're gonna get.
Keep them on your toes.
Mostly it's sweatpants, but you know, sometimes it's a French maid outfit.
French maid.
Wanted to give a shout out to our sponsor today, HelloFresh. HelloFresh is a service that I've been using for a long time now, quite a few years, and I love it. It makes it so easy to cook your favorite meals that maybe you didn't even know were your favorite meals until after you cooked them. I've learned so many new meals from HelloFresh, and not only are they delicious, but also you can recreate these meals on your own. So you kind of like learn a new recipe as you go, and they're all so good. They give you the freshest ingredients to work with, and then they have the recipe all prepared. You can choose what kind of diet you want too. So for example, I don't eat meat, so they have a vegetarian one. There's a meat eaters one. There's all kinds of ones. Just check it out. You know, pick your diet and you can go with it, and they'll give you the best recipes to make with it. But, you know, the holidays can be hectic. HelloFresh keeps things simple with recipes that cut back on meal prep and cleanup, so you spend less time in the kitchen and more quality time with your friends and family. They offer 50 menu and market items to choose from every week, including vegetarian, like I said, calorie smart, gourmet, plenty of variety. And they have ingredients that travel from the farm to your front door within a week, so you get the convenience without skimping on the quality. Plus, you skip trips to the grocery store and avoid the long holiday lines. All of these recipes too, you can make them really fast. I think they're all like 30 minutes long. Anyway, I've really enjoyed every single meal that I've made from HelloFresh. And that's why HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit. So go to HelloFresh.com/BigMood14 and use code BigMood14 for up to 14 free meals and 3 free gifts. Jeez, I like free. You get 3 free gifts. HelloFresh.com/BigMood14. Do it.
Okay, next one on the list. This one says, not listening and being defensive. When your partner is upset about something you do, really listen to them. Resist the urge to always defend yourself.
Yeah.
Take a pause, evaluate, and try to understand how something is making them feel.
That's a hard one.
I'm guilty.
Absolutely.
I'm fucking guilty. I'm like, what do you mean I did this wrong?
But it's because you're being defensive,
exactly.
right?
That's why I'm like, I'm fucking guilty.
Especially when both people are.
Defensiveness come from?
The what?
Where does the defensiveness come from? Because I for sure can never be wrong about anything.
Do you feel like it comes from a place of you feel like you're not being heard though? You're like, but you're hurt because you think I did something, but I didn't do anything. Therefore,
probably.
You think you're hurt, but you're actually hurting me because I didn't hurt you.
Yeah.
Personally, I feel like it's because I always try super hard to do a good job.
Yeah.
Like I will go out of my way to try to do the best job.
You take it personally.
So I do. It's like when you say that I hurt you and I wasn't trying to, I didn't mean to. I get really like, wait, no, that's not what I meant. Like, I wasn't like,
Yeah.
I said it because of this thing that happened because I would never try to hurt you.
Yeah.
So like just want them to know. I guess I just want them to know that I'm always trying to do the best job not to hurt them. And so I feel like I failed. Yeah. I feel like I failed at that.
And it's intentions. I really tried. Lacey does this thing where people wouldn't know this about me, but I'm actually very sensitive, but it's because I have like a tough exterior.
Don't tell her secrets.
Tough and buff and rough. But something will happen, and I will internalize, and I will take it personally, and like talking about that, and she'll just say, I hear you, and this is where I was coming from. So me just knowing what her intentions were, knowing that it wasn't to hurt me, but it was hurtful, and just her acknowledging that feels so good, because then you're not being shut down. I'm so used to being shut down.
Yeah.
Why are you mad? Why are you angry? Now you're being crazy.
Yeah.
And then just call a woman crazy and see what happens. You'll
get
see
crazy
starts.
starts.
You'll get crazy real fast.
I'm not yelling.
Yeah, something I'm actually like currently like right now is what I'm working on with my therapist, is learning how to validate emotions first, because I struggle so hard with that with Casey and with Isaac, and especially right now, Isaac being like full-blown teenager, hormones raging, and then like he's just coming at me with some attitude, and I'm like, you disrespected me, little boy, like you better fucking check yourself. And but then he's upset because of this other thing, and then I'm like, oh,
You're not acknowledging that. You're just like talking about the not the thing.
Exactly. Yeah. And then I'm only focused on how I felt about it. And I'm like, fuck. And so that was one of the things that my therapist had me do like an inventory on. It's like, what are the times that you felt like you didn't validate him? And like, what are the times that you felt like he didn't feel like you might have made him feel not heard? Because he's expressed that to me sometimes, where it's like, yeah, I just feel like you don't listen to me. And I'm like, oh shit, I don't. Fuck, let me work on this shit. Let me write this down. But yeah, it's It's hard.
It's hard.
So hard.
Communication is hard.
Yeah.
You know what though? I feel like the more people do it to you, like for you, like where they validate your feelings,
Yes.
the more you want to do it for them. Because Steve and I were both really stubborn people and defensive people when we first started dating, and not to keep talking about it, but like we learned a lot from this. Like I love all of these. They're all like exactly like the things to work on. Yeah. And he has been so good about like, if I get upset about something he did, he used to, you know, because he's just like me, he wants to do a good job, and so he's getting defensive. But now he goes like, okay, I hear you. Like just what you were saying about Lacey, and it even just that is so disarming.
Totally.
And it makes me feel like, oh, okay, like,
You hear me?
'cause I
Okay,
was
I
ready
wanna
to
hear you
fucking
too.
Yeah.
go. Like I had
thought we
guns,
were gonna have to
and
fight.
I was gonna leave. I had my suitcase packed.
Yeah.
Pack my 3 things. I'm out of here.
Yeah,
Just keep
I
moving
had my
things.
cats.
Yeah.
I got this cat. Oh, you take Joe.
Yeah.
We don't even bring them down.
No one wants that cat.
Yeah.
Think about it. No one actually packs. We just move things. We're just like, I'm
Yeah.
leaving. I'm moving. I'm getting out of here.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
just moving things. You're just like, and you're packing.
I'm packing
Yeah.
angrily, but you're gonna stop me at some point.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? That's funny. She always
But
wants to
that's
stop.
true though, because
Yeah.
then like with Casey going to therapy and stuff, like, and then now he knows how to do that so well. I gotta like congratulate you. Casey.
Yeah, I've
You've
seen a
done
huge
so
change
good.
in the energy that you guys have.
Yeah, because like he's so like, it's a fucking radical change. That 7-year itch we talked about earlier, for us, it was like, okay, it's 7 years. I'm sick of this shit. Something needs to change. And then he felt the same way. And then we went to marriage therapy, counseling, whatever. And then he really learned all these tools and learned how to apply them. I'm like, holy shit, I got to catch up because you're doing great. So he knows how to like validate, and he knows how to listen a lot better than before, like fucking miles better than before. And in the past, he would immediately get defensive and get mad at me for pointing something out that he did that upset me. And then like that would go like downhill, like so like the problem was like this bad, and then like
escalates.
it would go here
Yeah.
based off of like how it was handled. But then now it doesn't get there anymore. It's just like,
Because you can break it down.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, oh, that's bothering you. Well, why is that bothering you?
Yeah,
That's
and
not
then
what I meant.
It breaks it where both partners now want to listen to each other. Because
Yeah.
if one person goes, I hear you, and then now the other person's like, oh, okay, I want to hear you too.
well, I'm
And then you can
working on
rebound.
that.
Okay.
I am the one now working on being the one that's like, okay, I don't have to be defensive anymore, because I'm just so like, but you hurt me. Like, I'm angry at this. And he's like, I hear you. That's not my intention. I wasn't trying to do that. I'm like, but you did. Yeah. So I'm like, fuck, I gotta.
still hurts.
It's like my pride, like
Yeah.
the ego
Yeah.
shit. And it's like, I gotta work on this.
But ultimately, like in those situations, it's like, well, what could he possibly say to make it not hurt anymore?
Yeah.
Because he's saying all the right things. It's like, no, you
Exactly.
just have to like, those feelings just have to dissipate. But it like, yeah, it comes down to like at least knowing your partner is validating you and trying to understand, and also apologizing. Like, hey, I'm sorry. I would never want to hurt you.
Yeah.
I understand why you would feel that way. You know,
This
those
is where
kind
I
of
was
things.
coming from.
Yeah, this is where I was coming from. I did not mean to do that.
Yeah.
And
Also,
also
like
it's-
all of that is what is needed to get to, at least to get me to like a more like neutral place. But then sometimes, because obviously he's not going to flip a switch and be perfect, right?
Yeah.
So then like some of the old habits will come in where it's like, well, I'm sorry. And then like, that's it. And I'm like, rage.
But that's also like
then-
how we cope, right? And we're so
Right.
used to that coping,
Yeah.
and it worked for so long, and it's just not working anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So like now, at least you know that it's not work. That coping is not working for you anymore, and
Yeah.
that it's hurting you guys. But that's a hard.
We are creatures of habit and
Totally.
pattern, and so
Yeah.
it does take a long time to like, in many situations, to
change
it. Yeah, and like it feels good though, because now like when he comes to me with something and I'm like, I'm so sorry, I understand. And it feels good to give that back, and to
Yeah.
also like be an equally supportive partner and be there for him. Now we're on the same team. We're gonna find the problem together and solve it together, instead of like we're fighting each other, we're at war with each other.
That's
and because you want him to be happy, like you
Mm-hmm.
want him to be happy, and he wants you to be happy. I think we run the risk of breakup and divorce when you genuinely don't care about the other person's happiness
Right.
anymore.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's a
You just wanna
problem.
win.
Definitely.
When,
Yes.
Yeah, when like you winning and you being right is more important than just that letting them be happy, then that's very problematic.
Yeah.
I've
I was
definitely
just
been
sitting
there.
here thinking, like, isn't it weird, just in a macro level, that we have to constantly reestablish that we're on the same team?
and adjust.
And like that we didn't mean to hurt the other person.
Yeah, to constantly make adjustments. It's like, but we're together. Like I wouldn't just hurt you because I want to hurt you.
Why now this morning did you wake up and think that I meant that to hurt you? You know, like isn't it just so weird?
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's
very
weird.
weird.
It's comes from a place of trauma.
I guess
sure.
so.
Where
Like
it's like,
we're
it is
expecting
trauma.
the person
I've
to
been
sometime
with-
turn on us. Like
Yeah.
that person is always maybe gonna fuck me over. You know,
Yeah.
like
And it's feeling safe. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know if this is how you feel. This is definitely how I feel. I've never felt safe. From a very young age,
Yeah.
I've had to
Yeah.
protect myself. And I've been abandoned and it's been horrible. So if you have to protect yourself and you're the only person who's going to protect you from a young age, you kind of go into adulthood feeling that way.
Yeah.
So then when you finally trust someone, the instance that you feel like that trust is broken, you feel unsafe.
You're like, I knew it.
And when
Yeah.
you feel unsafe,
Yeah.
the world is unsafe, and you start to like shut down and break down, and like that's something that I've had to relearn.
Literally, it's like I could have said those words.
Yeah, you two have had a
Literally.
very similar past. A very, very similar
Yeah.
past.
Yeah,
It's
and
exactly
it's
what
trauma.
happens.
It's trauma, and it's like coping, and it's relearning and constantly adjusting. Like,
Yeah.
man, is it hard to human?
Yeah, it's so much work.
It's a lot of work, man.
I didn't ask for this shit.
But
You
that's
brought
why
me here.
in a healthy partnership, I feel like you are helping each other, like work through your own problems. Like
Yes,
you each had traumas, and then you're each like in a healthy way helping each other each time you work through something, and you release that trauma.
Can I tell you, I was at a bridal shower the other day, and I was talking to this woman who was married to her wife for 16 years, and she wanted to know from me what I thought marriage was. And I thought, oh yeah, marriage is about being on the same team and you're supporting each other and you have this life partner. And she's like, honestly, what I've learned is that marriage is about, we all have our traumas, and it's like, how can we unpack them? Because sometimes that trauma won't come up for 20 years.
Yeah.
So now you're together, you've been married 35 years, and you're like, my partner is changing, when it's really, it could be this triggered trauma that's coming up that now you both have to work through. But we just live in the age where like divorce is easy, and like we don't have to work through things anymore. I've been divorced twice, so I know how
Yeah.
easy it is to back out of something. But
Yeah, I think when it comes to that, it's like if both parties are on the same page of wanting to work through it together, then
That's what it is.
cool.
Yeah.
But if one person's just not in it,
Yeah.
then you have to walk away, or like
Yeah.
there has to come to a breaking point at some point, because you can't sacrifice your own happiness.
that's what it is.
Exactly.
And when you're not
Yeah.
worried about the other person's happiness, where it's like, that's fine, that's how you feel, but I genuinely,
This is me.
this is me.
That's
Yeah.
it.
And I'm not going to change
Yeah,
to
I'm
make
not
you
going to
happy.
therapy. Fuck you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then it's,
Oh yeah.
It's like, oh, it's a compromise situation. So
there's no
I don't know what
movement.
you want here. Yeah.
okay.
I feel therapized, guys.
Yeah. Well, who's the first to cry? Come on.
Not me.
I
Get
saw
it
you
out.
getting close.
Yeah,
looked like
I
you were
did get
getting
close.
You always
Yeah.
get
She talks about
glassy.
Steve.
She gets
She got
glassy.
close too.
I didn't.
And Gina walked through again and
didn't.
interrupted it. So she's
Not
first.
me. I don't cry. I'm
Yeah.
a hardcore bitch.
All right, so this is going to be the last one from this list, but there's more. If you guys are curious, you can check out the link in the description. It's pretty good. But this one says, stop hiding things from each other, especially keeping things from each other for their own good. Not only do they not know everything, you kept a secret, and now you have developed trust issues in your partner. If you are doing something or have a relationship that you don't want your partner to know about it, that's a huge red flag.
What is that? I'm a
What
little
would you
confused.
be doing that you're not saying?
That's what
I mean,
I'm
if you're
saying.
hiding it,
Cheating?
it's probably because it's not respecting the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or it could just be something that can affect the relationship, but you think it's your own thing and that your partner doesn't need to know about it. Like, for example, like, I don't know, having like alcoholism or something, and like, but you don't want them to know that they're alcoholic. That you're
That
an
you got it
alcoholic.
handled. They don't need to know about it. You're going to
Or
fix
like
it yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Like smokers or whatever. They'll
Yeah.
hide that from the relationship. That could be like one example, or another
So it's like a
example.
secret. If
Just
you're holding
anything
back a
that
secret,
you don't want to
Secret,
tell your
yeah.
partner, that should be a red flag to
Exactly.
you that like something
is off.
Because
Is off.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you don't want to tell someone, there's a reason why you don't want to tell someone.
Yeah.
And is it either that it's wrong you're doing it, or is it that you're with someone who doesn't just accept you, and it's not like a bad thing? Like maybe it's not a bad habit, but like they wouldn't accept you, you know, because so they're not going to accept all of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That seems weird, but I don't
It's a
know.
disservice to both
Are
of-
people allowed to have secrets though? Like, just as a human, as an individual, do I get some autonomy? Do I get some of just me, where you get 99, but I still get 1%?
I feel like it
I think
depends on
that's-
what it is.
Yeah, it depends
Yeah.
on what it is. If it's something
think you
that
do.
would, if your partner knew it would really hurt them, or maybe even cause them to not want to be with you, maybe that's like a too big of one. I don't know. I think
if it's not
everything's
hurting
personal.
them, right? Like if it's not something that's hurting them, like there's some traumas that I can't bring up, and it's not because it's a secret. It feels like it's a secret because you're not sharing them, you're not being open about them. But I feel like in that case, it's not hurting my partner. So I feel like
for me, that I understand what you're saying. But then the way that I end up processing that in my head is like, well, because they're your life partner and they're with you and you go through issues, and if there's something that might happen, like might trigger you, and they don't know how to be there for you, then I get it. It isn't not hurting them, like because it's hurting
they
you.
don't know how to
because
help
it might
you,
hurt.
I
It's
guess.
hurting the relationship because it's not fully out there. Like you can't fully be a partner in the
You're not
same
allowing
team.
them to fully
If
understand
they're not fully
you.
disclosing.
I guess is the way I kind of process that.
And for me, it's not the disclosing part. I'm cool with disclosing part. For me, is details. Like I don't need to break down every single trauma
yeah,
into
then that's
details.
different.
I think that's something you
Okay.
can.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, guys, because I don't know. Like I don't think secrets are good ever
For
in
some
any
people,
relationship.
revisiting details of trauma is actually
Yeah.
Harmful.
It's very harmful.
You need
Right.
a professional.
Agreed.
with
That's
you
true,
for
for
that.
sure.
Yeah.
That I agree with.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because then like I was thinking too, like another example of like a type of secret or something would be like maybe a type of relationship that you have with someone that you wouldn't want your partner to know about, even though it's like innocent and nothing's going on and it wouldn't hurt it's not hurting your partner. Like that is still something you're keeping from them.
Because withholding information can feel is
Yeah.
a lie. It's like a conscious lie.
It's
Right.
not hurting
Yeah.
them now
It's not hurting
because they
them
don't
now.
know. But once they find out,
Yeah.
It's gonna be hurtful.
Wait, you're
That's
talking to that
worse.
person at your work?
Yeah.
Why didn't you just tell
talking
me?
or texting your ex or something like
Right.
that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Something
Okay,
like,
that
yeah.
makes sense. Because when you
Yeah.
were reading that, I'm like, I'm so confused. Why would
Yeah.
you lie about something?
Yeah.
Like, what would you hold back that you
Things
like?
that you think are harmless, or you're brushing them off as harmless, but if
Yeah.
your partner found out, it
like
wouldn't be
I know
harmless.
he's jealous, so I can't tell him because I'm not doing
'Cause
anything.
he won't understand.
it's like it's just gonna cause a whole thing. Like I'm not doing anything, so I'm just not gonna
Yeah.
tell him.
Yeah.
And then, but
not
like
good.
if that shit comes out, then you really created a problem.
For sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. So
Yeah, definitely. Well, guys,
True.
we went through so many different things here. We hope you guys that are listening,
Yeah,
were
I
able to
love this
receive.
list. Who did this list?
This is
Reddit?
off of Reddit, but
Oh, okay.
BuzzFeed.
Was it like
compiled
psychology? Like psychologists contributed? Because I feel like these are very like these are actually what you go through in therapy.
Yeah,
very specific.
exactly.
Yeah. Also, check out Jess's
Yes.
everything. Like, she has a show coming out. She can't talk about it yet, but follow her on Instagram and
exciting,
all the
guys.
socials. Jess_Lizama on Instagram and and JessLizama.com.
Yep.
And she has updates there all the time. So when it does come out, you can go check it out. I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, watch my show. It's UK
Immediately.
based. I can say that.
Yeah.
it's
so
with
cool.
it's with E4.
Nice.
And it's
Oh.
a teen mom show. So I'll be
Love it.
hosting
I love
8
E4.
episodes. I'm the mentor of teen moms.
Yay!
Oh, that's so cool.
I love
You're
that.
I'm so
perfect.
proud of
Thank
you.
you.
No
Yeah.
one could be better
Yes.
at that than
Exactly.
you.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm so ready to like help, shape
Yeah.
young people's lives. So thank you.
Aw,
Thank you.
I love you so
exciting.
You shape all of our lives.
Yeah.
Please adopt all of us.
Yeah.
I will. I love being the internet's mom.
I love
Yeah.
it. No, and then guys
Everything.
get excited because my own personal goal is to have Jess Lizama come back multiple times.
Yeah.
I would love
know.
that. I love my time with you guys. So thank you for having
Yeah.
me.
Or
Thank
I
you for
guess
having me.
I guess this upcoming year because this episode's coming out in the end.
Oh, yeah.
at the end of this year.
Okay. So happy
Yeah.
New Year.
yeah.
Anyway, you'll get in details.
But
Stay
yeah.
tuned. You don't know.
You stay tuned.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
You stay tuned.
Maybe she'll be back. Maybe she won't. We don't know.
I know, we don't know.
We hope so. We hope so.
But yeah, make sure to like this video, comment, check out the description for all of our sponsors. That's how you can show support for the show.
And share with your friends.
Yeah, share with your friends and then comment down your own common relationship mistakes that you think should have been part of this list that we didn't talk about and have a discussion. All right, bye guys. Love you.
Bye.